Hi there, Altenew friends, it's me for another perfect pairing. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited to share two variations of my pairing for this video using the new Build-a-Flower Canterbury Bells. Before I share which old stamp set I paired with the new, please make sure you subscribe, like this video, and share it with your Altenew friends. I love being interactive with you all. In fact, I got the idea for this pairing from one of you in the comments. So make sure you share some of your old favorites with me in the comments or tag me on Instagram. Aside from the perfect pairing, I also decided to incorporate another element into these projects. Altenew hosts monthly inspiration challenges where primary project colors are picked from an inspiration photo. Then you create a paper craft project that uses the colors outlined in the inspiration photo and share it with the Altenew team via the coordinating blog post. Doing so enters you into a monthly drawing for an Altenew gift card. Additional details can be found below in the linked blog post. So here's the color palette for March 2020, hosted by the amazing Noreen. And here are the three ink families I thought mirrored the color palette well. I have Spring Bouquet, Glacier Caves, and Enchanted Garden Crisp dye inks. And with these three ink families, I've paired Build-a-Flower Canterbury Bells with Altenew Garden Treasure stamp and die set. This is a 6x8 stamp set featuring beautiful layered flowers for a full and varied bouquet. Today I wanted to create a full bouquet with some height, so I thought these two stamp sets would be a perfect pairing. So let's start with the March 2020 Build-a-Flower. I'll show you all helpful tips to get color variation and help with card making efficiency as well. In my Mini Misty, I've got the largest flower cluster outline stamp on the left side of my stamping platform. My paper is constantly aligned to the left ruler and bottom ruler and neatly nestled into the bottom left corner at all times. I'll ink and stamp this image in permanent black ink from Altenew. Then I'll rotate the panel 180 degrees and line up the corner of my cardstock to that same bottom left corner and stamp the outline image again. Next, I'll align the solid layer of leaves to this image and stamp it using Limeade from the Spring Bouquet ink family. Then once again, rotate the paper, align it to the corner, ink, then stamp. I'll repeat this process with the final two layers of the leaves with lime, then finally fresh leaf. So for the flowers, I'll use the Glacier Caves family of inks in the three lightest colors. Like the leaves, I'll grab the most solid layer stamp and align it to the black outline, following the layering guide found on the back of the stamp packaging. However, instead of rotating the panel and stamping again, I'll leave this solid layer white on the second flower. I'll line up the second detail stamp image with the colored flower and stamp it in the second darkest ink Caribbean Sky. Now I'll rotate the panel 180 and align the paper to the bottom left like usual. But instead of stamping this layer in Caribbean Sky, I'll use the lightest color Arctic. I'll line up the final detail layer for the flowers and stamp the lighter flowers with Caribbean Sky. Then rotate the panel and stamp the darker flowers with the darker ink Persian Blue. So now you'll see what I ended up with are two flowers that have their color shifted for some beautiful variation. If I decide to use both clusters on the same card, I'll give the illusion that these are two different bouquets for some variety. The same principles are going to apply for Garden Treasure. I went ahead and stamped all the outline images I want to use on my card in permanent black ink. I used the same color shift technique on the leaves, as well as the two largest layering flowers. I omitted the centers of the flowers to avoid adding in additional colors not outlined in the inspiration image. You'll see that I was able to get drastically different flowers just by rotating the panel of paper and carefully planning the use of inks and essentially skipping the base layer to give white space. So now I'll simply use the coordinating dies and my mini blossom die cutting machine to cut out all these images. Unfortunately, I haven't thought of an efficient way to do this, but I do find cranking out die cuts somewhat therapeutic. Now I'll begin the final assembly of the cards. The first thing I'll do is cut the Canterbury Bell image so that I can stretch this image to be the height of my card. Then I'll hide this gap with the Garden Treasure die cut flowers and leaves. You'll see that I get this wonderfully tall and triangular shaped bouquet that is pleasing to look at and get lost in. I'll save this arrangement by using Glad Press and Seal to pick up the entire arrangement and set it aside while I work on the background. No card of mine is complete unless I have splatters. I love using jet black ink spray diluted with a little bit of water to add fine droplets with a water brush. I'll add a diagonal cut panel of Altenew's white wood grain cardstock on top of my dry splatter background. To go along with the whimsical feel of this card, I decided to use the Hello and Hugs die set to add a very basic hugs sentiment to my card. Of course, you can always add in a sentiment strip from the Build-a-Flower Canterbury Bells stamp set, but I was thinking ahead for Mother's Day, and I thought this hug sentiment works well for the occasion. I used a scrap piece of this periwinkle cardstock for the shadow layer and adhered everything down using liquid glue. I raised 2 of the flowers on the card for some dimension using craft foam. I so desperately wanted to add sequins to this card, but instead I thought this sheer shiny bow at the base of the bouquet would finish this card off and introduce additional texture to this card. That's how I paired Build-a-Flower Canterbury Bells with Garden Treasure, and here's the second variation to this pairing. None of the die cuts I made earlier went to waste. Make sure you share your Altenew Perfect Pairings ideas with me in the comments below, and hey, while you're there, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on endless inspiration and video tutorials from the lovely team at Altenew. Also, if you're interested in the Altenew Inspiration Challenge, I have Noreen's blog post linked below in the description box. Links to all the Altenew products can be found in the description box as well. Thank you all for tuning into this Perfect Pairings with Jaycee, and I'll see you all in the next one.